July the 1st of 1910, the Motor Vehicle Administration opens. And right out of the code book, let me read it to you here. We will ensure that motor vehicles be safe and adequate. We've come a long way. Here he is, the boss of the MVA, who joins us here this morning. How are you, John?
Jamie, it's great to be here.
All right, he's got, look at this. He's got all these cheat sheets ready to go. All right. First license plate came about what year?
Well, actually, the first license plate until 1910, before we started the creation of the Department of Motor Vehicles, it was the Secretary of State's office that registered all motor vehicles starting in 1904.
So you really, so we were right there. What, West Virginia, I think, was up there, and Delaware was up there, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And Pennsylvania, of course.
Yep. By act of the Maryland General Assembly in 1910, it created the Office of the Commissioner of Motor Vehicles, and that's when we took over.
And then when did we start going for our driver's test?
Well, actually, believe it or not, it wasn't almost a good 8 to 10 years later before we started issuing driver licenses. We asked individuals to actually demonstrate that they had the proper ability to drive the vehicle before we licensed them.
And I was kidding, John. When was the first line formed at the MVA?
Well, that's a good question.
1942?
Probably. But you can imagine we didn't actually have branch office operations in effect until the early 70s. So we actually only had one service outlet for the entire state until such a time.
We always think that Glen Burnie's been there forever on Ritchie Highway, but it hasn't, right?
Glen Burnie didn't come, wasn't constructed until the early 60s, back in 1961.
So we went downtown all the time?
Absolutely.
One branch.
There was one branch downtown Baltimore.
For everybody.
For the whole state.
I want to put up some pictures here because we have a big event planned for coming up on Saturday. What are we going to do on Saturday?
Well, this is the highlight of our MVA Centennial Celebration. All started back in January of this year with Governor O'Malley proclaiming that this is 2010, marking the centennial anniversary of the MVA. And the highlight of this Centennial Celebration is essentially a auto show at the Glen Burnie headquarters. We're going to have 100 cars starting with the 1910 model all the way until 2010. One model year for each year.
That is pretty good, all of them.
And best of all, Jamie, it's free to the public.
It's free. Where do we go from here, John? Where do we go? Where does the MVA go?
Well, that's a great question because if you can imagine, from 20 years ago, back in 1990, we wouldn't have imagined that, how we'd be servicing the general public today, back in 2010. So in the 1990s, you didn't even think the Internet was around yet. So basically, we're delivering services through the Internet now, through self-service kiosks, and that's the wave of the future. We're going to try to deliver as much services through electronic means, through the different alternative service delivery mechanisms so that the customer does not have to come into a branch office.
Wow, that's going to be great. John, thank you very much. Happy anniversary.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here. So tell everybody to bring the family out on Saturday.
All right, John, thank you very much. Megan, he doesn't look 100, does he?